talk about defensively and wanting to make that an emphasis. How do you go about doing that? What is the process of making sure that you're pushing it in every day?
Yeah, I think we know what makes our defense good. That starts in transition. A lot of emphasis on defensive transition. We feel really confident in the half court. Numbers have backed that up. Also just continuing to find ways to cover for Rudy so he can be as active as possible. On ball compete and contain has got to get better. Last year it was inconsistent. Before it was our hallmark calling card. So. Right now, like those are the things that we're focusing on. A few tweaks on different things that we're trying to see what they look like, maybe with regards to rotations, etc. When it comes to helping each other, but it's really kind of just being better at the basics that we know that drives our defense.
How do you enforce like ball pressure? Like, is it the second you don't see it, you stop it?
For sure, yeah, absolutely. As soon as you're not winning that battle of the ball, you blow the whistle and kind of get them up and get them where they need to be.
Mike was saying yesterday that the team kind of challenging Ant on the defensive end of the floor this season. How has he been receptive to that? And how do you go about, he has a lot on his plate offensively, and that requires a lot of energy, but making sure that his energy level is consistent at both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like we all have seen the type and level of defender Ant can be. We've talked a lot about consistency and the consistency of habit as one of the areas of improvement, no matter what it pertains to. Ant's he's got to measure up here. We might do different things with matchups that put him in kind of more high leverage situations, which we know that he can do and he enjoys. And it's an NBA mantra that if you do so much on offense that you're allowed to not play defense. It's the best teams don't do that. They do what's necessary as much as they possibly have to do it. So.
Second unit front court, you kind of toggled off on Knows and Julius's role in the front court.
Yeah.
What's that going to be like this year, do you think?
You talking about offensively, defensively?
Defensively.
Yeah, defensively. We just gotta. We need to be more aggressive. I think a lot of times we had those guys on their heels. We've got to, shrink the floor around them. Earlier to our help spots, more of a fly around mentality. Last year we relied a lot on switching. Sometimes it was good, it got better, and sometimes it wasn't. So I think it's just about freeing up them so they can kind of attack the ball when they are in the position to do so.
I know it's just semantics, but is that like high wallish?
Well, I mean, not necessarily, no. I mean, that's something that we could do. But I think, the game right now, teams are so comfortable playing through the pocket and have so many skilled bigs that can make plays from the pocket that you have to, evolve what that looks like, what a high wall looks like. So,
Chris, Ant also mentioned the other day it's kind of an off-season focus on ball handling.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that might unlock for him?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it equates to getting his finishing back where it can be, it should be. He faces a lot of directional coverages where they're trying to send him a certain way. So being able to attack those when that happens, it just by default puts multiple guys on the ball, which is what you want. So, but yeah, just being able to kind of I think simply get to his repeatable shots, and that might help him more in like closing and clutch situations. So.
Chris, how do you go about you listed off a bunch of priorities in training camp to us the other day. How do you go about teaching that? Is it one at a time?
Yeah.
Is it all at once?
We start with the overview. The main themes that are underpinning the season, whether they be kind of habit based or mindset based. Then today we highlighted defense, some of the things that we need to do better. What makes our defense good, where there's significant areas for improvement, team level and individual. And tomorrow we'll do the same with the offense, and then from there we'll just kind of pick out the themes that we see that come up.
Chris, Mike and Micah both talked yesterday about when it comes to transition offense. one of the early instructions is if Rudy gets the ball, Mike is the guy who takes it.
Yeah.
Just, is that order of operations just needing to establish a kind of a little pecking order to get people going in the right?
Yeah, I think, as we evolve, we'll have multiple guys being able to bring the ball up in that situation, and of course Mike's not always going to be on the floor. Right. So, but right now we're just trying to add depth, play with more of a hit-ahead mentality, and to do so you can't have multiple guys coming back for the ball. So just being a little bit more clear in our transition principles is going to help that for sure. And then from there, we'll see kind of what it looks like. I mean, we still want Julius bringing the ball. His rebounding better and pushing would certainly help, but I also like when we advance it to him and he's able to make plays. So, and of course, we don't want Ant to just spend all game running to the corner. So, it's a bit nuanced, but we got to be a little bit clearer on getting depth and how we do that.
Will vets play much in the preseason? Have you figured that out yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a need for us to play. Not 100% dialed in on what that looks like, but I think you're going to see our guys certainly playing.
Listen to TJ talk just about what his expectations are. It's clear that he knows what his role is and what is being asked of him. What's the value of a young player just understanding I got to do what they're telling me to first and foremost?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's the first stage of player development. I think it's the first stage of getting yourself on the floor. I think it's the first stage of maximizing your own talents. I think it's a foundational piece to understanding how you fit and succeed in this league, and then everything grows from that. So it's what we like about TJ is he does know who he is. He is a highly repeatable game, and it's simple, but that's not to say that it's that's certainly not a slight. I mean, simple is often best. So.
The times when your defense looked like you probably wanted it to look like last year, a lot of those times Jalen was on the court.
Yeah.
What do you lean more and more into that especially as you try to really establish that identity?
Well, I mean, definitely. We have multitude of guys that the benefit of having him on the floor too is it allows us to move Jaden around. But again, Ant's going to have to take some of those matchups, and there's just going to be times where we're all going to have to be better and on the ball. And I thought that was the biggest slippage from 2 years ago to last year. So. Jalen's just such a great ball hawk, has a nose for it, competes. He's just one of those guys. He's good off the ball with his hands, but he's just way more comfortable and better on the ball.
Jalen was talking at media day of studying D-backs to try and hide fouls. And do you feel like that's something that's more applicable now than it maybe was 7-8 years ago of studying other sports to learn how to defend without fouling?
I think anything that helps. Any tricks of the trade can certainly help, or little advantages. I've often found it that if I'm looking at other sports, I get some of the best ideas. So anything that can help him, I think it's pretty clever.